Hi guys, Shady Games here today and welcome back to my channel. We are back with another Sims 4 speed build, and today we are building something fun. Well, in my opinion it was fun anyway. I had a lot of fun with this build, and we had building like a survivalist bunker, I would call it, but it has a sinister twist which we will get to later. But this build was super fun. I loved doing this. I loved kind of bringing out the story behind it and like who I imagine living here, and I'm excited to tell you guys about it as we like go through it. This is a slightly longer video though, so feel free to give me a pause, go get a snack, go get a drink, settle in, because we're here. It's like longer than my usual videos. So for like the outskirts of this bunker, for like the top of it, I wanted it to look like a kind of like an electrical house. We have these things around where I live where there's a plot of land and there's like a little shack on it, and inside that shack is where they do like electrical stuff, and you're not allowed on it. It's like really hazardous, no one goes in them. They're surrounded by fences, and they're just, I don't really know what they do in them, but they just have warning signs on them being like do not enter, and like live electrics and like shock warnings and stuff. So I wanted to recreate that. I wanted to kind of look like from the outside kind of like just boring, somewhere you wouldn't really want to visit. Like if you're into exploring, you kind of would just give it a miss because there's nothing really here. It's a tiny shack, and there's nothing going on. I add some like equipment to make it look electrical, so to give like that vibe. So just warning people that there's nothing really to look into. I had a bunch of trees to like blend it in with the forest behind, just to, again, if like you're on like the main street or something, or you're on a path walking through the forest, you can't really see it. It's a little bit hidden, a little bit out of the way, because I don't want people just stumbling upon it and getting curious. I tried to deter them as much as possible, but yeah, just in case they are a little curious or whatever of it, I wanted to deter them as much as possible. So to start off with, I was going to kind of add loads of junk around and kind of have it a bit abandoned looking, but I was thinking, no, that's probably going to do the opposite of what I want, because if you get like urban explorers or just kids around, they're going to see this, see all the junk everywhere and be like, that's a place to hang out, that's like a place we should explore, no one ever goes there. Do you know what I mean? So I didn't really want the building to look interesting at all. If anyone saw it, I wanted to look at it and just immediately their gaze would just like be distracted from it because they're just not interested in it at all. So I do end up backtracking on everything I'm doing now. I'm pulling out these boxes and stuff. These end up going, and I'm like, yeah, that's just not going to work, because I feel like this is by adding like all these campfires and like abandoned furniture and stuff, I feel like it's adding too much interest to it. That could very easily make someone want to stop and come and have a look. So inside the building there, I am bringing out some items and adding them in, because I wanted the inside to kind of look like a workshop, I guess. So I wanted to add in some like old equipment, something that's going to sell if like somebody does decide to look in here, something that's going to sell it as being a place where like electric is produced. I don't know what these rooms do, these like bunkers, like these electrical things. I'll have to have a look. Maybe they're hidden bunkers and they're just working very effectively, because I've just never been bothered about looking at them. I see them all the time. I think it's just where they store power banks and stuff, but I honestly couldn't tell you for sure. But I just wanted to add some stuff like that. So I had like a workbench, I had some like old equipment and stuff, so if anyone did come in, they'll just kind of see it's not really anything to do and hopefully leave. We do obviously have our ladder in the corner, which takes you down to the bunker below, but I do try and hide that amongst like shelving and stuff. We can't hide it too well because we obviously need the Sims to be able to access it, but I do put up some benches like and some bookshelves, just blocking it a little bit, so if anyone walks through the door initially, like they're just going to have a peek of all this stuff and hopefully leave. The front door is one from Get to Work, and it has all these signs on it, like no enter, hazardous, and like that, and it's kind of like I imagine it to be like a heavy duty steel door, so I don't think it'll be easily to be like able to break into, which I thought was perfect for this, because these people who live here do not want anyone entering it. They want this place as private as possible, and they want to keep the outside world out. So this is me just adding in some bits. I used a lot of the Get to Work stuff. It has quite a lot of good stuff, and also surprisingly or not surprisingly, Get Famous has some stuff that worked well in this build. I think it's like props from movies, because like there's the actor career where you can go to like the movie sets and stuff. So there's like a lot of just different bits that I found worked really well with this build and really helped sell the vision, I think. So yeah, I have like the workbench in the corner there. And then just some random tools, some shelving. This is like a food shelf, but unfortunately we don't really have a shelf that's full of just general clutter that you'd find in a shed. So like tools and just like old equipment and stuff like that. So I had to use this food one, and we're just going to have to pretend that that's what it is. And as you can see, I kind of wrap them around so that there's like just like this tiny walkway to fit round into the stairs below. I kind of imagine maybe that bench that I put, like, or the bookcase that I put at the back, that swivels around, so like it creates like a complete row. So when someone goes in and out of this, they open and close that behind them, so if anyone does come in, they don't see the gap. Like, that is a full bookcase and they just can't see behind it, but like there's maybe like a hidden mechanism or something that makes them spring open so that the cult leaders or whatever can access it. Again, just adding some industrial equipment outside to really sell that this is like a workshop or like a place that just does, I can't think of the word. I'm sure you all know what I mean though. Just like a place that has like machinery and it's just not something you'd really want to visit. Like, there's nothing here that's going to be like entertaining or anything. And then at the back, I do sneakily try and add into solar panels, just because I think down below they'd probably use solar if necessary. So I tuck them away on the roof a little bit. You can't really see them from the outside, so they're just like a bit hidden. And again, it goes with like the electrical stuff, so I feel like if you saw them, it's not going to be like a red flag that something else is going on down here. So down the ladder, this is the first room of our bunker. The bunker does get quite big because I keep adding to it, and I'm like, oh, that would be cool if it had that would be cool, and it basically fills up this entire lot eventually. So for the first room, I put a lot of equipment down here. So there's double doors because I wanted to make sure that it was secure. I feel like the person who built it would be like, if somebody got through that ladder, they want to give them a tough time getting into the compound. So there's 2 double doors that they have to go through. They're heavy duty ones, you know, it's not easy to get into this place unless you're invited. And then I imagine this place is, so I imagine they sell it as a survivalist bunker. So I think they've convinced people that the end of the world is happening and you need to come down here and survive like a nuclear war or something, and this is the only place where you're going to be. It's safe down here, it's secure. So this is like the equipment that I imagine they say, you know, we send out parties to go and scavenge. You're safe down here, you don't have to do anything, you can just relax. We will take care of it all. So this is what sells that. They have to go through that first door with the shower, where they can put on their like outside clothes, I guess, like spacesuits I imagine them to be, to like ward off like the nuclear dust and stuff. And then when they get back, they have to dispose of it in the bin, take a shower to make sure they're all clean, like get rid of anything they've got on them, like contaminants, and then they can go into the main compound. So this is kind of what that is. I just wanted it to have like loads of clothes, loads of shoes, because they're gonna, whatever they like. So the main compound is off that room where the shower is. So they'll come out of the main compound, they'll go into this room, they'll shower, they'll get rid of all their clothes, they'll go into the next room and they'll put on their clothes for the outside. And then when they come back down, they'll get rid of like their outside clothes, they'll shower, they'll put on their like compound clothes that are clean, and then they'll come into the main compound. So that is kind of what that is trying to emanate there. And then this is the first room, and I wanted this to be like super cozy and super welcoming, I guess, because I wanted, like, they've recruited people to come down here and I want their first impression to be a positive one. So we turn this into like a little bit of a living room. We have sofas. I kind of give them like a handmade feel, just because I feel like this place has probably been running for a while. They've maybe gone through different iterations of what their storyline is. So, but people have been down here possibly for quite some time. Maybe this compound has been going on for years. It might not be a new thing. So things are getting worn, and things are a little bit old. So I didn't want everything to be super squeaky clean. I think that the compound people who like live here hand make a lot of stuff. So maybe the coffee table is handmade out of wood and stuff that somebody has foraged or something. And then I don't really give them electrical stuff down here because I feel like because they're selling it as like an apocalypse house, I think they might think like the battery or the power grid possibly has gone down. They do have the solar panels, so they do get some electric, but they try and conserve it. So I put in a lot of stuff that can be used off grid, so like if that ever did go down, they've still got lights, they've still got entertainment. So I use those two. The lights are like the bulbs from, I think they're from Laundry Day, and they're just like exposed bulbs, and I think it went well with this build. It like, suits it so well because it kind of gives it like that stripped back look that I was looking for. And then on here I add in one of the old style radios, and to be honest, I just think it goes so well. I feel like they add a sinister vibe to this that you'll figure out like as I go through it and I explain to you what's happening. When you come back and look at them, you'll be like, yeah, that's kind of creepy. Like having all this old stuff there that kind of gives the impression that this place might have been happening for a while, you know, like maybe people are just turning up now, but everybody might have been fed a different story. I do imagine that currently they are selling it though, as that is going to be, that either is a nuclear explosion imminent, or something is happening and they're trying to get these people down here to save them from like the end of the world kind of thing. That's me trying to remove those outer walls. I initially just built a big box so I could kind of see the boundaries of the lot, so I knew how much space I had to build. And then I tried to remove them and you can't. I think it's because that's the basement. So as I build out, those walls aren't there forever because they were kind of annoying me. I didn't like having this like box around it, but I do kind of fix them in the end. I add in a lot of greenery and a lot of pictures and especially like scenery pictures, because I imagine like the compound leader is kind of like, you know, these people don't get outside, so to kind of recreate the outside, they put a lot of pictures of like scenery, like sunshine, that kind of stuff. I think that's like super creepy if you ask me, and I thought it fit like really well. So they're just kind of like, you can't go outside, so we're giving you fake windows to like recreate the outside. I just think that's like super creepy. And then I start on, these are hallways that I'm doing now. I add in a lot of hallways. It's kind of like a maze down here. I kind of wanted to have the impression that when you're down here, as I feel like some people are maybe like cottoning onto the fact that something's going on here. And all the hallways are the same. They've got the same flooring. They've got the same walls. There's like nothing going on in them. And I did that on purpose because I want people to kind of get the feeling that they're lost down here. So that they don't really know what corridor they're on at each time, if that makes sense. So I wanted them all to look the same so they kind of get a bit disorientated. So that is kind of why all the hallways are very just stark, and I think that's super creepy if you ask me. So what I'm building now is our center security room. I think the compound leader would have like his or her there, close group of friends who are trusted, who they give the role of monitoring everything. So maybe these have cameras that show outside, and they also have cameras that show inside, so they can watch what everyone's doing, make sure no rebellions are taking place, and they just like keep an eye on everything. If anything happens, they can lock down the compound from in this room, and there's just someone always in here monitoring what's going on. I give them these old computers because I think it just fits the build well, and then they each get a lantern next to it, which is an off-grid one. So again, I'm trying to add things in, like lighting especially. Maybe like every now and then they just turn the power off to like really sell that something's going on in the outside world. So maybe like they turn off the switch to the power and everywhere goes dark and they have to all turn on their lights, and they kind of sell it as something going on, like an event out in the real world, to kind of really, I guess, just get people scared maybe, because they don't want people to leave. So they want to give people like a reason why this is good for them down here, this is where they should be. So I think they would be manipulative like that and do things like that. And then off that room there, the security room in here, I do like a storage room. This is where they kind of keep some of their old equipment, or like equipment to replace things. The main people, or like the trusted group, I feel like that do the security, are the same people who go upstairs to scavenge. I say scavenge, they're not really scavenging because nothing is wrong upstairs. The world is fine. They've just got these people convinced it's not. So they maybe go and like to the hardware store and replace equipment, and then they have to keep it down here because obviously they have to like keep up appearances that they need a stash of stuff. So like if something breaks, they've got backlogs to fix everything. And then these here, I wanted them, I feel like they kind of look like hard drives, and I wanted them to be kind of like the surveillance tapes, and I filled these stacks with them, and this is just all the old surveillance that they've taken like hours and hours over the years of just surveillance of what's going on in this compound. And yeah, I just think, imagine if you're like kind of getting red flags about this, like you've been sold that this is a place you should go, this is going to be safety, and when you get down here, you're kind of like, something isn't right, like this is a bit creepy, it's a bit weird, nobody will let us leave. And then like as you're like looking around, you find this room, and then you just find these hard drives where there's like decades of different footage of everybody in here. Maybe like you see like what this compound was in the past, like how they sold it to people in the past to live here, and I think that'd be terrifying, so I had to add them here. And then I also add stuff like oxygen tanks, because obviously when the people go to like the expeditions upstairs, the compound leader has sold it like the outside world, like the air isn't breathable, so they'd need oxygen tanks. So they've got backlogs. Maybe there's nothing in them though. Maybe none of this equipment works, and it's just there for looks. Like the people who go on expeditions suit up, you know, they've got their suits on, their hazmat suits, they've got their oxygen on, and then as soon as they leave the compound, like out of those gates, they take it off in the car because they don't need it, because there's nothing wrong with the world. So maybe whoever is suspicious of this place like kind of gets into this room somehow, and they look at the oxygen, or maybe they're trying to escape and they actually put an oxygen pack on, and then they like go to breathe and they're like, wait a sec, there's nothing in this, and then they like are like, oh my god, this isn't real, like this is all fake. And yeah, absolutely terrifying if you ask me, but I just love this build. I think just this concept of that is, yeah, very creepy, but I really had fun with this one. I was having some issues being able to delete walls. Like, I've made that tiny slither of a corridor and it won't let me delete it, and I'm honestly not sure why. I do fix it eventually. We kind of build walls off of it and it lets us delete it. But yeah, I'm not really sure what's happening there and why it wouldn't let us delete some of the walls and it would some of the others. So I'm adding in more corridors now and kind of sectioning off the compound of what like different rooms I want. For the corridors, I wanted to add loads of doors around because, again, I think they would sell it as, you know, if there's a lockdown, they need to be able to lock all these doors to keep everybody safe. So maybe like you have to go through multiple doors to get anywhere because then it gives you that extra protection. But really, it's like if the compound leader decides to lock everybody down because there's something happening, it's just extra doors keeping you in. Do you know what I mean? Like, everybody thinks it's keeping them safe. Like, it's good that we've got so many doors because if there was like an air leak, we can lock off each room individually so we'll all survive while they fix it. But really, it's not. It's like if everybody decides to leave, they can just lock you in here and you cannot go anywhere. So this room I am doing now is going to be one of the bedrooms. We do end up with 2 bedrooms and they are exactly the same. I wanted to do that on purpose. I didn't want anybody to have, there's no style going on here. Once you're down here, you are like one of the crowd. You are a sheep, I guess. Like, everybody is the same. I imagine they make their own clothes and all the clothes are the same. There's no individualism, and I think that the compound leader does that on purpose to stop anybody's personality, I guess, getting too big and possibly deciding to take over as leader. I think he wants everyone to be kind of subdued and kind of, yeah, just like, not free thinking, you know. They don't need to think about what to wear, they don't need to think about what to eat, they don't need to think about anything because it's all provided for them. And I think that they're like, oh yeah, that's nice, isn't it, that, you know, we don't have to bother about food, somebody cooks for us, we don't have to bother about clothes, they've given us all these clothes, you know, it's so nice, they're so lovely. But really, it's because he doesn't want them, or I say he because I just imagine like a nasty man behind this, but they just don't want them thinking for themselves, because then that might encourage them to think about other things, like think about what's going on in this compound a little bit, and he just doesn't really want anybody going down that path. So the less they have to have like a free thought for themselves, the better. I do start by giving everybody their own individual trunk, just because maybe they've brought some personal things with them, you know, like a backpack of stuff, and they can keep it in the trunk. But in the end, I decided to go for these lockers. Again, there's less space in these lockers, you know, they can't keep everything. I imagine maybe when they first arrive, their stuff is gone through, and they're like, look, we need to go through your stuff. Everybody, it's communal down here, we all have to share, resources are tight. So they go through all their bags, they take away anything that could be used as like a weapon, or anything that isn't like allowed, so maybe like electronics or anything that they could use to an advantage to them if they ever did try and escape or rebel, you know, that is not allowed. So everything's taken off them. Maybe they can keep, if they brought personal items like photos, they could keep those. But then again, maybe as time goes on and they're down here more, those kind of get taken off them, because, you know, if people have photos of their family maybe or their pets, and it's kind of, it gives them something to like work towards. So if they are thinking of leaving, they're like, you know, I need to get out there, my nan is out there, or my sister, or whatever. It's going to give them a reason to leave. So I do think maybe if like eventually those just go missing and nobody knows why all these personal items are going missing, but everybody's eventually does, I just think that'd be, like, I say a fun idea, a fun in the I just think that's cool. I don't know. And then on the walls in the bedroom, again, I add in a lot of outdoor photos to recreate like I think the cult leader, or I say cult leader, it may be a cult, it's just like the compound leader. I think they sell it as, you know, they are giving people that outside feel. I've seen it in like a few movies, like sci-fi movies and stuff, where like maybe they're in space and they don't have access to go outside. So they give them like windows that they can like press a screen on it and they can make the view be something else. They could have like a view of the sea or the mountains or like a city, and then as they're like in their bedroom looking out the window, it looks like they're in the city, but really it's just like a hologram on a screen. So I kind of wanted to recreate that as this. And then this is one of the first bathrooms. Again, they're very small, they're very compact. There's not really much personal space going on. It's kind of an in and out job. I imagine that everything is kind of on a rota. So maybe at like 6 a.m. every morning, a bell goes off. Everyone gets out of bed. They make their way to the bathrooms. They shower, they do their business, they brush their teeth, and everybody goes to the kitchens. Some people will make the dinner, and some people will cook. Everyone will have breakfast, and then I imagine everybody has jobs, so they all go off and do their job. I don't think there's much downtime. I think downtime is given to them in a way. So we do there's like some skills stuff. I won't tell you what it is because we'll get to it eventually. And I imagine like that is seen as downtime. So the compound leader's like, right, okay, you've got free time. Go work on your skills. Go, I don't know, do something. And they're all like, oh yeah, this is fun. We can go sit down. We can go read a book. But really, it's like stuff he's given them in a way to keep them down, I guess. And maybe all the books are like propaganda or subtly about how compound's a good thing, but they're not like sold as that. And then all the activities are actually skill-based, so they're not really having fun. They're learning things that will help around the compound, if that makes sense. So nothing here is for them. Everything that they do is for the compound, even if they don't realise it. And then this here that I'm working on now after the bathroom is going to be the dining area and also the kitchen area. So I wanted this to be quite big. I imagine that when the compound leader built this, I think he or they had very grand plans of what would go on here. I think they saw it as being very successful, and they're being able to manipulate a lot of people to be down here. So that's why there's so many beds, there's so many toilets and stuff. Because I imagine them being just having grand views of themselves. Like maybe they think they're more of a charismatic than they think, and they think they're like this super manipulator who will be able to get loads of people down here. So they built it to be able to hold hundreds of people, or maybe not like hundreds, that might be a bit, but like a lot of people down here. And I guess that's up to your gameplay if they achieve that or not. I do think there's a lot of people down here though. I think there's maybe 10 constantly. And then it's up to you, I don't know if there should be more. It does get a bit creepy though. I do kind of add some stuff in that gives you'll see. I don't want to tell you because I'll talk about it when we get to it. But yeah, it does definitely there's definitely something sinister going on down here. And then in the kitchen here, I initially wanted to add in loads of tables and have them different. As over the years, things have broken and they've been replaced just one at a time. So nothing matches. And then I also did that for the chairs. But I think when you're trying to make things mismatched, I think there's definitely an art to it. I think when you're trying to do something like this, I think it's easy to think, if I want everything to look odd, just make everything look odd. Just don't match any of the chairs, don't match any of the boards. But then that looks weird. So I think you have to be there's an art to making things look mishmashed in a good way. I was looking at the dine out tables because I wasn't sure if we had some I guess maybe high school years would have had them. Maybe what am I trying to think? Metal ones. I think those two that I've pulled out, not the wood ones, are from high school years. And just cafeteria ones, I kind of wanted benches. So metal tables with benches either side. But we don't have that in The Sims, unfortunately. This was me adding chairs around each table and then mixing them up to kind of give that mismatch effect. But in the end, I'm this looks mad. It looks too crazy. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look mismatched. That's kind of a tongue twister to say, in a good way. So I do come in and kind of change everything. I do add in a lot of plants because again, I think maybe the compound leader has read somewhere that plants promote happiness, and if people are around plants, they feel good. So he's added them everywhere to kind of subtly make people feel nice, even when they don't think they're going to. So when they're around the plants, they kind of just feel like they're in nature, feel a little bit calmer. So they're oh, look how nice it is here. There's plants everywhere, there's greenery. But really, it's just to kind of hopefully keep them happy. So everything here has kind of a sinister twist. Nothing is really for the people. It's definitely used to control and manipulate them without them realising. So here I wanted to pull out some stuff that would be in a cafeteria. So maybe a stand where they could come in, pick up a tray, get some knives and forks, cutlery, that kind of stuff. We don't really have that though, so I kind of just had to do my best. This one, the stand I've pulled out there next to the bin, I can't remember where it was from, but that's the best we have. And then this is me trying to find like a hatch, a serving hatch, because I think people would come in, they'd pick up a tray off like one of the sides, they'd form a queue, they'd go to like the hatch, they'd get served by somebody behind there who's been cooking, and then they'd go sit down. This is before I found the high school years one. I knew we had one in high school years, but I just couldn't find it for some reason. I was like, because I thought maybe I had to put in like a cheat or something to get it to come up, because it's like a community lot or something, but I was just being blind, obviously, because it's definitely there, because I find it eventually and I do add it. I removed one of the bigger tables because I think it looked a bit cramped, just having like 4 of these large ones, so I added in some smaller ones, just kind of dotted around, maybe even just the one smaller one, just to kind of break up the space, because I wanted to leave enough room for the queue, so that as people are coming in for breakfast or for like their lunch or whatever, there was like space for them all to queue up. And then that other display, it's like a cake display. I imagine that's where they get their desserts from, like yogurts or handmade cakes, like that kind of thing. I think the food down here would be basic, like canned stuff. Anything that could be handmade would be down here, so they wouldn't be getting anything mad. Maybe like for breakfast they'd have like porridge and eggs, like very simple, very basic, very bland probably. And then these trolleys here, I know they've got like books on them and stuff, but I'm just going to pretend that that's where they'd get their trays from. So they'd come in through those double doors, they'd pick up a tray, they'd go to the hatch, then they could stop at, like, there's 2 of those the big black units. I imagine that's where they get their cutlery, their utensils, maybe like condiments, napkins, that kind of stuff, just general stuff that you would have that you'd need to like eat. That's what those are for. And then once they're done, they scrape their stuff into the big bin, and then they probably put their tray back on the other tray stand. So there's one for clean and one for dirty, because everything is organized, everything is set, like nothing, there's no mess anywhere, everything is orderly, so they would have to clean up after themselves. And then again, I'm just adding in those more like those nature pictures and the outside pictures to recreate that. I found that shower from, I think it's from Get to Work. It's from Get to Work or Get Famous, and it's a decontamination shower, and I was like, that's perfect, that's exactly what I want. So I switched out the shower that I had and put that one instead. And then this is going to be our kitchen. I put like enough space for people there to be like maybe 2 people cooking, and then like somebody washing the dishes, cleaning up, somebody prepping maybe. So yeah, there's space in here for like multiple people to cook. I wanted it to look very industrial. So these are from Get to Work, and then the sides are like, I feel like they could look like they could be handmade. And then this is me finally finding the hatch. It's not from high school, actually, I think it's from Dine Out. I'm not sure why I didn't find it, because it's literally in the cooking section. So I don't know how I missed it. I think I was looking, honestly I couldn't tell you where I was looking, but I didn't see it. I don't think I looked in that section, God knows why. And then I added in a couple of ovens, a sink so they can wash up after themselves. And that's about it. Some surface space. It's not very big in here, just kind of like your basics, I guess. I did look in the dine out to just see if there was anything else we could add. I found this fish tank, which I thought would look cool in the dining room, as if maybe they're adding like that little bit of nature. I did feel like these ones were a bit big though, so I do swap it out for like just, I think it's like a base game one, or maybe one from Cats and Dogs. Yeah, this Cats and Dogs one. I think they'd have like some nature. Just again, fish are very tranquil. Fish give like Zen vibes, so everything is peaceful. We're promoting subduedness, and the fish are just going to help with that. And then I come in and I pull out just anything that would be in the kitchen, so pots and pans, spices. I put on the tables like these salt and pepper things. I just kind of add some bits that you would have in like a big dining room or commercial kitchen. I pull out these rugs because I imagine they're like non-slip ones. In front of that cooker or that serving hatch, I feel like maybe it gets a bit greasy on the floor. So they've just got like this non-slip mat so everyone's not falling over all the time. And then I just use like these items to kind of fill up this side here. So there's like loads of spices that maybe they use for cooking, jars, condiments, that kind of stuff. We don't have too many, so I just have to like use the same one and recolor it. And then I come in and I think I find some stuff to go on the walls. I found this menu here that goes in the kitchen. And then I think I'm not sure if I add one into the dining room. I think I do go back and add one just so like when people can come in, they can see what they're having for the day. I mean, I don't think there's that many options, maybe like a couple of things on rotation. I think maybe the compound leader is like, it's keeping normality. We have to recreate the outside world as much as we can. So, it'd be on the outside world, so we'll do it down here. And then this is our food storage. I just use those shelves, and they're full of like cans and tins, that kind of stuff. And then these bins, I feel like, oh yeah, there we go, I did add one. I did add like a little menu, or like recycling bins, so I add those. And then this is going to be their growing room. So I imagine they make all their own food, they grow all their own like vegetables, fruits, that kind of stuff. So I just kind of fill this with loads of plants and loads of planters, so they've got space to do that. I just kind of dot them around. I wish we had more like gardening clutter. I know we have some tools, but I couldn't find them. But we've only got one. I wish I had like gardening gloves, like shears, maybe like little pots of dirt or something. I know with the like greenhouse kit, we kind of got those little planters, like the little, the tiny little starter plant pots. But I wish you had more like tools and stuff that you just kind of have lying around, like a pad to kneel on. Just more gardening stuff. I don't know, I just more clutter in general is what I want, if I'm completely honest. But I will stop talking about clutter now, because I feel like you guys all know my opinion on it now. I wish we had more, but I don't think me complaining about it is going to change anything, so we shall move on. I also imagine maybe they grow plants in here. Like I said, there's a lot of like plants around, like a lot of greenery in all of the rooms, so maybe they also grow those in like the little planters, and they kind of just, when they're ready, they just kind of dot them throughout the compound to add like a little bit of colour to some of the rooms, because the walls of the rooms are very like bland, they're very white. Like I said, I did that on purpose, so maybe they just add in like that little bit of extra colour. So I'm now just extending this hallway so we can add on some extra rooms. And honestly, when I was going into this, I knew certain rooms that I wanted to include, and then some of them I was just getting like inspired as like I developed the storyline of this compound and like the people who would live here. So it kind of started out as one thing and then like grew into something else. I didn't plan on it being as big when I first started building it, but I was just getting so many ideas, and I'm like, oh my god, it'd be so cool if you had this. I would have to add that. That would be like so creepy, or like. So it does end up getting rather large down here. Basically, your sim could live from like birth to death and not need to leave. They could probably max out the majority of skills and do like a lot of things down here. So what I am working on now is a classroom, because I thought it'd be cool if, I imagine this compound, like they do kind of have children sometimes. So I wanted like a school where they could get taught, and obviously the lessons would be around like the history of the world, like what's going on at the top, like why we are down in this bunker, like what started it. Maybe there'd like be like, you know, everybody start like the politics the political parties or something like started doing XYZ, and then there were riots, or I don't know, like whatever the storyline is this for this generation of Sims, for why they have to be in this bunker, is kind of taught here. They're taught all about like the world before, where everybody could like walk around in the air and they were fine, but now they can't. And, you know, this is where the kids are really going to get, like, that ground level indoctrination, I guess, started. They are being, like, brainwashed, I guess, from birth. So they are in these classrooms, they're learning all of this stuff and kind of possibly, like, just making them scared of going outside, so they just don't ever think about leaving. I mixed up the desks again because I wanted to kind of put home that, you know, this place is kind of old. Not everything is matching because they've had to, like, add things over time. And then on the walls I added in like loads of kid theme art, because honestly I just thought it was like super creepy. Like the fact that when they built this compound they kind of envisioned having kids here at some point, I think is like, when you think about it, I think that's a very creepy thought to have. So I thought by adding like all these decals to the wall, and like maybe if this place ever gets shut down and you get like urban explorers coming to like look around it as it's been abandoned, I think coming across this room and having like all kids art on the walls would be like super freaky and kind of unsettling, I guess. I decided to go into the gallery and kind of get some kids art to put on the walls, because again I thought that would just add a little creepy factor. That, you know, these kids are all making art and it's going all over the walls. I do believe, yeah, there you go, I've just highlighted who it was by, if anybody wants to kind of go and to download the same thing. But I always forget that this is a thing you can do in The Sims, and I think it just added that touch to this build or this room even, that it definitely needed. At the front, I've used like a whiteboard from high school years, and then it's the Scouts pack. It's the Scouts like board where they keep track of like the badges that you're in for the Scouts after school activity. So I just added that because I think it just kind of sells again that it's like a classroom and they're learning in there. And then next, these two rooms I built are, again, they are kid themed, so we're keeping on track. And one of them is going to be where the kids sleep. So it's like a big nursery. And then the other one is like a playroom for all of the kids. And yeah, like I said, I just think it's super creepy having that included, like planning for it as well, rather than just being like, oh, we're going to make this compound because it's the end of the world. And then if somebody has a baby or turns up pregnant, then you kind of just have to like adapt on the fly. But this is like obviously set up with the expectation that kids are going to come through here. The nursery, like all this kids section, so the school, the nursery that I'm working on now, and then like the kids playroom, I guess, they are quite big. So it's not even like it's a small aspect of the build where they've just kind of had like a little room left over and they're like, oh, let's kind of put some stuff for the kids to do. It's a decent portion of this compound, considering like the compound is limited on space and you can only fit a certain amount in here. So I think for them to dedicate like such a big portion of it to the children is, in my opinion, very creepy and unsettling. I don't know, it makes me feel weird, so I thought we had to include it. So there's beds in here from like babies, so we've got some cribs, we've got some toddler beds, and we've got some infant beds. So we have everybody stacked from like when they're born to when they like go to like a child, and then they'll probably go in the main dorms with the adults. Like I said before, there are 2 main dorms, so you could like split them between men and women, or like adults in one and then like young adults and kids in another. There's a couple of ways you could like break up the like ratio the people through the bedrooms. But yeah, I thought it'd be super creepy if we added in this like little kid room. Maybe there's like a couple of the adults whose jobs it is to just look after the kids, so they come in here and they're on nanny duties, so they make sure they're all fed, they're all watered, they've got all of their skills met, and that is like their main job of the compound. Maybe, I don't know, you could do it so that like having children is encouraged, like maybe they are told that like they maybe need to repopulate the world, so they're all encouraged to have kids if they can. And yeah, that is just I think it's just very unsettling, so I thought it definitely added kind of a more sinister, a creepy, I'm going to use creepy a lot because that is just like, it just is what it is. It is just very creepy. But yeah, just to like add that vibe to it. Again, I added more decals to the walls, because like obviously it's kids around. I think, I don't know, do you know, like, I don't know if you guys have ever watched Urban Explorers. I got into a phase of watching them quite a lot. And I just think that when you go to like an abandoned building and there's evidence of kids being there, so like whether there's toys on the floor or like just like a shoe just like randomly placed, I just think it's unsettling. I don't know why. I just think it, like, the place could have been fine before, but as soon as you see like something to do with the kids, I just think it's weird. Maybe because like kids are creepy in horror movies and I expect them to be like, I don't know, possessed or something, could come crawling out of the walls. But I don't know, I think adding like evidence of kids to where they shouldn't be, just, yeah, I just don't enjoy it, so I thought I would add it in here. And then, like I said, this is going to be like the big toy room. I didn't want to include too much electronics, so it's like a lot of, there's toy boxes, there's dolls houses. I try to include stuff like all the different age ranges, so we've got the mats on the floor for the infants. I've put some like potties in the corner and just kind of put some screens around them, so like you kind of have a little bit of privacy. I pull out these craft tables and reuse like the cardboard ones because they could be handmade. And then this is the only electronic thing we have, and it's like the screen from Little Campers Kit. And my like reason for using it, it's not like a TV, but I imagine maybe if they have like an old projector, they might play like old movies on it, which again would be very weird because like I imagine them just like sitting in here. You can hear like the whir of the machine. It's like obviously flickering because it's not like good quality, so like the audio is a bit crispy, and yeah, it just it's just so unsettling, I feel like. So they do get that, so they can watch like, again, just stuff to probably bring home that brainwashing that's going on down here, so they have somewhere to do that. And then we have this gallery thing came with so many like different artworks. There's like different versions of each artwork, different colours, so I just wanted to pop some over here on the wall by the colouring station so that they've like done something and they're like super proud of it, because kids love to put stuff on the walls, don't they? So I wanted to add in a few. I didn't end up using them all because there is so many, but I do put like a decent cluster of them all. And I imagine maybe some are older, so the kids who are like born here and are like older now, so maybe they're like a teen and still down here, their art is still on the walls, but it's like a little bit faded. Yeah, I wanted everything to kind of really be a bit old, a bit worn. We don't have much of that though in The Sims. I think the werewolves pack came with a lot of worn stuff, but you can only use that like so much without the whole build looking the same. I just wish we had more furniture that looked lived in. So like rugs that were a bit worn from where someone's walked on them, or not like perfectly flat, so like kind of give the impression that like the rug is a bit wrinkled, or you know the covers might not be made on the bed. Just kind of things like the furniture's got like little knocks on the corner because you know you've had it for so long. I just think that's kind of sell like the realism of Sims build, and not even just for builds like this, just for like a family home. You know, maybe your Sims had the home for ages, they've grown up there, things aren't going to be in pristine condition the whole time. So I just think it would be nice if we had some more worn furniture. This room I'm working on now is going to be a gym, because again I think that the compound leaders would really want people to like stay fit, stay healthy down here as much as you can when you're living in an underground bunker. But I think they would be like encouraged to do fitness and like work on that skill, just because maybe you never know what's going to happen. I don't think they'd be like encouraged to do weights though, because I do add like the puncher bag and stuff, but if you're like free weights, we don't really have those in The Sims. But I don't think that if we did, I don't think they'd be encouraged to use those, because obviously the stronger someone is, the easier it is for them to rebel and, you know, maybe decide to leave the compound, and that is not allowed. So it's like low-key, it's low-key gym so that you can do running, you can do some yoga, you can do like chill activities that kind of keep you fit but don't give you any strength or something. I just think that would be... And yeah, so I thought we'd include a gym, but in this one I do add some like punching bags, and then the I'm not sure what they are. It is the weights machine, but maybe they just don't go very high, so like the weights on them aren't very like you just couldn't get strong. It's more just the thought of moving your body more so than actually benefiting you in like getting stronger, if that makes sense. But yeah, I could just imagine maybe at like a certain time each day. Maybe everyone's on like a different rota, so like they're staggered. So group A at like 3 p.m. every day, he's like, right, gym time, everyone go do your hour of activity. And then group B goes at like 9 a.m, right, your hour of activity. And you could just see people coming in and they're like all running on the treadmill in unison, or all stretching in unison, all doing the same thing, like not realizing it. But like if you're like an outsider looking in, you're like, that is so weird, like why are you all doing the same stretches all in one go? Like I don't know, just the thought of doing that is, yeah, it's just weird to me, so I just included it. This is me now just coming in and kind of mapping out the rest of the build, trying to add in some of these corridors to like I said before, kind of make people disorientated when they're down here, and then figuring out what I want to do with the rest of the rooms in terms of what I want to add. I actually took a break between the last clip and this clip, which was why there was a massive jump, and because I was like, I'm not sure what to add, so I needed a little bit of inspiration. So I left, took like a little bit of time, took a couple of days, and was like, right, what can I do? And I came up with some stuff. So I kind of plotted it out as I thought about it. So then when I came to actually build, I didn't have to be like, right, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? So the random furniture appearing is me just kind of being like, right, this is going to be the bedroom, this is going to be the other bathroom, and kind of just setting everything up for how I want it. So this is the second bedroom now. These have kind of a smaller bathroom because there wasn't really enough space. I guess you could extend it like across the back and just have like a really narrow hallway. But I wanted to keep like the hallway long. So this is just, I mean, there's plenty of bathrooms in here for all of your Sims. But this one is slightly smaller. Again, they get like the showers, the toilets, and then a few sinks. They get more sinks than showers and toilets just because, you know, if someone, like in the morning, people are going to be brushing their teeth at the same time. So you might get 6 people brushing their teeth, but only like a couple of people showering. So I just think it made sense to have more sinks. And then like people might be brushing their teeth and then someone might want to wash their hands. So it just kind of made sense for me to have more sinks, and there was like space for it. So I added them. And then I'm trying to come up with a layout for the bedroom here. I didn't realise originally that I made it 1 tile too short, so I did have to extend it so we can like fit the beds in the same layout where there's like one opposite each other, like around the edge of the room. I did consider if I wanted to change the bedspread of these ones. So the other ones are like the whitey grey colour, so maybe these could all be blue or something. But no, I decided to keep it just kind of like white, because very clinical, isn't it? It's very sterile, and yeah, it's very, I don't know, I just think it's a bit unsettling if you ask me. It kind of gives like during the movies when somebody goes to like an asylum or something, all the furniture and stuff is very white, it's very like bland, and I don't know if it's from that where I just think of it being a little bit unsettling, a little bit weird. So I decided to stick with that. I had loads of lamps around the edge just so that if there ever is a power cut, or if they ever do, cut the power for to really sell home what's going on here, then they've still got some lights and they can still like see. And then this room here with like the sofa and the bookcase, that is, I think I go and work on that next. I think I like shuffle things around a little bit in that room, and then yeah, here we go. I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to talk about it and then go off somewhere else. But yeah, this is kind of like an entertainment space, I would guess. So maybe in like the hour of free time that they have, or I don't know how much free time they're going to have. I don't imagine it to be a lot. Like I said, I imagine their free time to be disguised as something else. So they think they're on free time, but really they're building skills that are going to help the compound. But this is for actual free time. So I build like this big communal area here so they can all sit down on the sofas, maybe talk to each other. And I kind of make it like a little bit homey. I kind of wanted it to give like the impression of like their home living room, just so like they feel nice here. It's like a cozy space, so they don't really come here and be like, and nothing suspicious. It kind of makes them feel like home. And I think sometimes when you want to like I just imagine the compound leader was like, right, if we make this like their living rooms at home, they will just instantly feel safe here, like subconsciously it'll feel familiar, and then they won't want to leave, if that makes sense. So I think when this was built, the compound leader has literally thought of everything, and has like subtly used these different tricks, like psychology tricks, I guess, that would make people feel at ease, feel comfortable. So like the thought of leaving doesn't enter their mind, if that makes sense. So that is why I kind of imagine it to be very homey in here, with like the furniture and stuff. I give them like one of the old record players in here, but I think it's definitely got like what's it called? There's definitely music there that has been like, okayed with the compound leader. There's not just anything in there. And I think it'd be also creepy if maybe they record like fake news reports, so the people think they're listening to like updates of the real world, what's going on outside, but really it's been faked by the people like behind this compound. So just like it could be like, it's day, I don't know, 360 of us trying to figure out what's going on with this nuclear explosion, and then like give an update, this XY city is still overrun with nuclear fog, and the government is still working on cures or whatever. Do you like that kind of stuff? Just like give an update, so people like kind of gather around maybe every day at 3 p.m. or something, like the news kind of gives a general update of life outside, and then everyone gathers around. But really it's like the people behind this compound just have made these fake tapes and are just playing them. That's so weird if you ask me, Hank. Yeah. And then on this side I had loads of books and bookcases. Again, I imagine them to be, I think these books would be like general books, but I think there'd be older books, maybe like, do you like Dickens, or like nothing recent, very old, nothing like again to promote like rebellion. So you wouldn't really have like the Hunger Games, because they overthrow the Capitol and they don't want them to even think about doing that. So it would just be general books in here, maybe a lot of books like on how to grow plants, how to grow food from scratch, like workbooks, so like how to make furniture, like stuff that they would need possibly to like rebuild their civilization, I guess, herbal medicines, like that kind of books I think would be down here a lot, and like journals maybe, but yeah, nothing that would inspire any creativity or any wanting to leave. I also had some music, like instruments in there, because I think maybe of an evening they all get together and have like a little sing song, and again I think that's super creepy. I don't know why. I just imagine like them all sitting around singing like all these old hymns or something, and I don't know why that makes me feel a bit weird. like brainwashy, I don't know. So I added them into that room. And then this is the skills room, so I added all the skills that I think they would need. So they get some art easels, maybe they can pull the art on the wall. They get some flower arranging, because obviously they're growing their own flowers, so they can arrange them and like have them in the compound. A couple of woodworking benches, so they can make their own furniture, that kind of stuff. So when things break, they've got like the ability to make it. Some chess tables, because obviously logic will be very important down here, but again, we don't want people to be too clever, but we want to give them the illusion that they could be. And then I add in a candle bench, because I think candles would be utilised a lot down here, especially if like the electric ever went out, I think they'd like use candles and stuff. So I wanted to give them somewhere where they could remake the candles so that they've always got a stock of them and access to make them. And then I removed the chairs I had here and decided to go for game tables instead, because in this room, apart from like the radio and the music, and obviously we have the books, there's not that much entertainment. Like normally in a living room we'd watch TV, but they can't do that. But they can like have communal board game nights, or just kind of give them a sense of community, even though it's not really a community down here, I guess. And then to fill the gap here, I wasn't sure what else to add that like went with the story of the place, so I did just come in and add in another candle making station, and then a few lamps, and then I just like added in a couple of extra lights so you can actually see what's going on down there. These bare bulb ones I use everywhere. I use the same light everywhere, again just to kind of, especially in the corridors, just to kind of create that confusion of like, you know, where am I, all these rooms look the same, I don't know what's kind of going on, that kind of feel. And then I just add some wall art to the wall. So I find these ones, I think they're from Seasons, and there's like a different swatch, like there's maybe like winter swatches, there's autumn, there's kind of like a few different like nature themed swatches, so I think they fit the style that I'm going for, so I added those. And then this over here is kind of like the room like straight into the doorway there is a hospital, because I feel like they would definitely have, you know, if people are going to be down here a long time, people might get sick, or, you know, if people are having babies, they're going to need somewhere where they can deliver them. And then off that, I did a science room, because maybe if you did want to go down the theory of, this is like, it depends on the storyline, I guess. Maybe they are experimenting on things, so they've got that science room, but nobody really knows about it. It's only trusted people who are down here using it. Maybe they're experimenting on the compound people, you know, they're collecting samples from them and like experimenting on them, but the people don't know. So I just wanted to have a room in here where you could go along that storyline if you want. And then I add some cells, because maybe they keep people like captive down here, or maybe if people act up and like decide to leave, they're like, they kind of give the impression that they're letting them leave. So it's like, right, it's up to you, we're telling you, you can't go up there, it's dangerous, you know, if you want to risk it though and die, that's up to you. And then they like give the impression that they're leaving, so maybe they open the doors, everyone gathers round, says their goodbyes, they go up thinking they're leaving, but then they get like captured by like the compound's work helpers, I guess. They're the ones who go out on the supply runs, they're just waiting for them, they ambush them, and then when everyone is asleep or something, they bring them back down, they put them in these cells, and they do whatever you want them to do with them. they conduct their science on them. I think that'd be super weird. And then I add in these like crates of I think it's like papers. They're from Get to Work, and I imagine maybe if they have been experimenting on these people for a while, they've documented it all, and these are all the cases of like all the different people, all the information. So if like somebody got curious that something was going on here that was like not okay, and they kind of broke into this room, imagine find like stacks and stacks of like stats on people, even like people in the compound, like you find a chart on yourself, it's got all your information, like how old you are, how tall you are, how much you wear, your likes, your dislikes, like just weird information on you that you just never knew they were even tracking. And it goes back like decades. Like you just find all this information of all these different stats and like experiments they've been running. Yeah, that would be absolutely terrifying. And then I add in like a little board so you can kind of maybe like pin stuff to it and keep track of things. And then this here is the hospital. I thought it'd be kind of fun to add on, just because if people have been down here for a while, like I said, people are going to be sick, and if they're promoting people to have babies, they're going to need somewhere for like that to happen. Again, I think this would be like a very sterile and clinical space. I don't think, like, although it's sold as that, I don't think having like a baby in here would be a happy time. I think like the compound leaders would like pretend it is, but really it's got like an ulterior motive that's a little bit more sinister. So I kind of wanted to give it a sterile feel. We add so many like bassinets because maybe they're thinking they're going to be cranking out these kids all the time, which I think is like super unsettling if you ask me. And then over here, I just give like a counter space. So they've got somewhere to like wash up. There's like, like just like the general equipment you would need in a hospital. I imagine it's been these cupboards, like, you know, gloves, needles, like that kind of stuff. I swear also we have, I think it came with cat and dog. It's like a tray. Do you know like that surgeons use? It's like shaped like a kidney bean, I guess. And they put like their tweezers in there and they're like their scalpel. And I'm sure I've seen that here. I've seen it looking through the buy menu, and I just could not find it. I don't know if I've made it up, but I just have a vivid, like, memory of seeing it and I couldn't find it. I filtered by all the packs I thought it would come with, couldn't see it. I tried just looking for it like manually, going through everything, and I couldn't find it. And I was like, I don't know why. Maybe I dreamt it, but I feel like I didn't. Be watch, I'll find it at some point, and if I find it in a future video, I'll tell you about it, because I swear I'm not mad, I've seen it. I know it's there. And then I also find these like little drip bags, so I had them around, because again, I feel like it's a bit sinister. Once you kind of realise what's going on in this place, the fact that they could be like giving you things like through an IV that you don't actually know what it is in it is very unsettling. And then I had like that, I think it's trying to get to work, it's like that tube. It's like a test, like I don't know what it's called. From like sci-fi movies, they always have like aliens in them and stuff, so maybe there are aliens in The Sims, so maybe that's who they're experimenting on down here, and they kind of keep them in those like it's like when they put people, I can't remember what it's called, like stasis or something, where they're alive but they're only alive because they're hooked up to a machine, and they like go into like a deep sleep for a while, for like years or decades, and then they wake them up eventually, kind of like on that movie with oh god, I'm starting talking about this movie and I can't remember what any of them are. Jennifer Aniston and Andy from Parks and Rec. Can't remember his name. He's also on Guardians of the Galaxy. Passengers, that's the movie. And they all go to sleep while they travel to like the new world, and then two of them wake up, like that kind of sleep. So maybe they're in the test tube just going to sleep. Anyway, I also just kind of pull out some other things that look medical. A lot of stuff from cats and dogs, so like swabs and stuff, jugs, beakers, anything like that, and just kind of put it on the counters just to kind of give the impression again that this is a medical room. There's equipment everywhere, and it's like a little bit of a hospital, which again is very unsettling. And then I just kind of organise it. We don't have too much counter space, so I imagine a lot of things is in the cupboards, which is kind of good because we don't really have that many items that would be in a hospital. Despite us having hospitals in The Sims, there's not really that much like hospital equipment, so there wasn't too much clutter I could add around the room. And then again, I just add in a few lights, and then I decided to add some more decals to the walls in the baby section, because I just think it's super creepy. It might just be me that thinks it's creepy, I don't know. But I just think having like all these things aimed at kids in like a compound like this is just weird. It's very unsettling, and I don't really like it, which is why I added it. I kind of wanted that feeling in here. So yeah, there's a lot of different decals on the walls. Some of them are older, some of them are newer. And just like, yeah, I don't know, it's just weird to me. So I added it because this place is weird. And then I find these like artworks of the under the sea. So I decided to add one above each of the maternity beds. Just to kind of, maybe they call them like each bed is like you're in bed A, which is like underwater. I don't know. I just thought it'd be fun. So I added them, and yeah, that is it, guys. I hope you enjoyed, because I had a lot of fun with this one. This was a really fun build for me. I loved putting the story and the lore behind it. I will pop it up on the gallery, and if you do download it, or if you are thinking of downloading it, please let me know what like storylines you're going to use it for, because I'd just be so interested to see how you guys envision using this space. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed. If there's any other builds you want me to do, feel free to comment them below, and I will add them to the list. And let's get on to the final tour.